my biggest problem is that people look for spiritual answers and spiritual remedies to physical problems that they need to fix. I can't chant and say, I become thinner every day, I become thinner every day, I become thinner every day, and sit and watch Netflix and eat a bloody laddu. It doesn't work.
People come to you, they're either trying to fix their partner or maybe fix themselves. How can you help them understand it's not about fixing, but about sharing a healing space?
People come to me very often, yes, trying to fix their partner more than trying to fix themselves. Everybody has to know that each person is destined for a minimum of 3 heartbreaks in their lifetime. So if this is your first one, gear up, the 2 more to come.
So Kavyal, I would love to know about this family constellation therapy.
Family constellations says that a family is like a spider's web. If I had to truly choose one thing that I want to embody or I want to be remembered for, it would just be the kin and kindness. It would just be that, and nothing else would matter.
How do you think parents can really nurture emotional intelligence in kids?
That is a bigger problem now, that I see a lot of parents just giving into the demands of the children. That I want a business, dad is going to set it up.
Do you think social media is jeopardizing the existence of everybody around
It
us?
has
Because
already jeopardized every single person it has touched.
How should parents really react and deal with their child when they come out to them in whichever gender preference or whatever their identity issues are?
As parents, you have to understand that if you give a very strong opinion, that's not okay. How could you? I'm telling you, your child is going to love that. And they're going to want that even more. Because at this point of time,
any one particular school of thought or philosophy that you really connect with?
one principle that I always carry with myself that keeps me aware.
Welcome to our show, Kin and Kindness. Today we are super excited as we are joined by someone who embodies spiritual wisdom and emotional health. She brings together the modern psychology and ancient truths, which help with emotional healing in such a powerful and such a gentle way.
So welcome to Kin and Kindness. I'm Punnya. I'm a certified college counselor and I help students apply to colleges. And with me, I've got my co-host Shubhani, who's a life coach and a counselor. But today's episode is not about us. It is about this phenomenally enigmatic individual. In fact, I have Goose Flesh sitting right in front of her. We've got Kavyal Sedanni. Kavyal, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for those beautiful, kind words. I don't know if I truly deserve them, but I take them with love.
Thank you so much. For the benefit of my audience, let me tell you. Of course, most of you already know of Kavyal. She's a name to reckon with. But those of you who don't know who Kavyal is somebody who just does not speak of transformation. She really channelizes it. She is a psycho-spiritual healer. She's a clinical hypnotherapist. She's a tarot reader. She's a powerful force when it comes to healing generational wounds, holding space, and really bringing grace to the messy and the mystical alike. Kavyal's work bridges modern psychology with ancient wisdom, whether it's family constellation therapy, whether it's inner child work, or it's just sitting in stillness. Kavyal's presence ignites each and every face and each and every row.
Wow.
So, Kavyal, welcome again to Kin and Kindness. We are really, really honored to have you with us today.
Thank you. I didn't know I was doing all that much, but honestly, if I mean, all of these, there are a lot of labels that people who love you give you, right? But if I had to truly choose one thing that I want to embody or I want to be remembered for, it would just be the kin and kindness. It would just be that, and nothing else would matter.
That's amazing. Kavyal, we usually begin our podcast with understanding our journey which has brought us here.
Yeah.
So, is it possible we have a little conversation about what were your growing up years like and what are the values which you took from your childhood which still matter today? And that's what you even impart to all of us.
I actually had only values that I have carried because I had nothing else. I was not an intelligent child. I was not somebody who excelled at academics or sports or anything of that sort. I was one of the very easily forgettable kids, 80 kids in a class at that time. And I remember spending 9 years of schooling with barely anyone noticing me or knowing me at all, except for my English teacher because, she liked me. But besides that, I had no identity whatsoever. It was in my 10th grade where I found a friend and she saw something and she said, I think you speak very well. And I want you to take part in this competition. And if you do not take part in this competition, you and me are not friends anymore. That was her way of pushing me. And literally, just to keep her friendship because I was that lonely, I took on to stage for the first time. And I did well. So that was an introduction to, oh, I don't know what else Kavyal can do, but Kavyal can speak. But besides that, my father has always been a tool of service for the society. He's been an astrologer and for I think 45 years of his life, he never charged a penny. He's never charged a penny to anyone and he's brilliant. So I've seen him stay up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and people are still coming in, they're queuing up, and then can you please help? Can you please help? And that was his way of serving humanity. My mother was an absolute homemaker, but she has served humanity literally through feeding and nurturing people. Both of them came from tremendous trauma. My father and my mother, both my mom lost her parents when she was 10. My father had a very troubled moving in here and there kind of childhood as well. So I think both of them very early on understood the value of relationships, the value of people. And they were very strict about, if someone came to our home, mom and dad were very strict about the fact that please come outside of your room, meet these people, give them a cup of tea, sit with them. When they are leaving, come back to say bye bye. And, when you pick up the phone, always ask, how are you doing? What is really happening? And as children, we would be like, oh, why are you making us do all of this boring stuff? I mean, who does it? But we were not given a leeway. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad because there was a certain discipline that was instilled that they're human beings, they need to be respected. Even if it's an animal, it needs to be respected. It needs your attention. And your attention is clearly the best gift that you can give to everyone around you. And I did come from a very middle class family. So we were not a family that could afford expensive gifts. What we could do is cook and feed and pay attention to people and listen to them and hold their hand when they cried. So I do believe that if it wasn't for the values of my parents, there was no Kavyal Sedanni whatsoever. It's just that they didn't have Instagram, but they were much larger heroes than I could ever be.
In fact, it was so simplistic in those days that if our parents could give us such clear guidelines of what is important.
So, Kavil, I would love to know about this family constellation therapy, for somebody who's new to this concept. How would you really describe what it entails and how traumas actually have a role to play in the relationships that we hold today? So, if you can share anything with us and the audience about it.
The family constellation therapy is a beautiful, rare therapeutic modality that is used all over the world. It's by this brilliant man called Bert Hellinger. And there are few therapists who practice family constellations, but it just doesn't look at, oh, what's your problem? It doesn't look at you as an individual. It looks at you being a soup of multiple ingredients coming from generations behind you. So, family constellations says that a family is like a spider's web. Okay, it's so intricate, it's so tiny, and yet it's so strong that it's impossible that if you move even one thread, the whole web will move. One change in one person in the family will leave lasting change for generations, whether you directly know that person or you do not know that person. Okay. And all of this is happening unconsciously out of love and loyalty. Okay. You know, a very popular question that people, in fact, it's a joke that if somebody wants to be a therapist, they will say, so what's your daddy's wounds like? What's your mama's wounds like? Right. We all go back there, but it's not just mama and daddy wounds. It's also our grandparents, great grandparents. Unfortunately, in the modern world, people don't think that generations that went behind you are important anymore, right? Because you just see it from a conscious level. Oh, they don't even understand me. Oh, what? I don't have anything to speak to them. I was never connected to them. But we are all made up of our ancestors. They live through us. We keep them alive through us. You know, a very shocking thing that happened in my life was I never had prepared to be a psychotherapist. I never wanted to be a hypnotherapist, right? I actually wanted to be an air hostess and have an easy, chill, travel, fun life. But somehow, through the wounds that I had and I couldn't navigate my way, I found therapy. And when I found therapy, the first session I did or I experienced of hypnotherapy, I was in love. I was in love. Now, if you've seen that hypnotherapists very often use a pendulum, okay? I do not use a pendulum, but it is a popular tool for hypnotherapists. A few years ago, my grandfather passed away. And when we were giving all of his stuff away, I found a pendulum. And I'm asking my dad, I'm like, what was Bapuji doing with a pendulum? And he said, what do you mean, what was he doing with the pendulum? Don't you know? And I said, don't I know what? He's saying when your grandfather was approximately 25, 28 years old, he had gone to the most popular hypnotherapist abroad and he had learnt hypnosis just for the hell of it because he wanted to psych other people around. He wanted to control other people. He wanted children to behave like a monkey or just
for the fun and games.
experiment. And it left me in shock and awe that I have literally just walked into the footprints of my grandfather without even knowing it. Now, when he passed away, he was 90. When I became a hypnotherapist, he was 80. I wasn't even born when he tried hypnotherapy the first time. But we still walk into the same shoes. That's how much we are connected. So, it is to look back. Family constellations is about looking back. That you could come to me saying that you have an issue where you're not able to lose weight. And it could all the way be connected to the guilt pattern your mother is carrying and that you are carrying because of her, and how that guilt is now transformed into fat and sitting with you in your body, making you comfortable. So it's about, removing the blankets and the carpets from our wounds and really looking 4 feet under.
Kavya, as per what I'm understanding, we all carry generational traumas, the wounds. Now, in a setup like our Indian traditional setup, when there's so many of us together, how does that dynamic work? And more importantly, now when the new age or modern culture wants to, separate and live more nuclear, what should we pick up from this traditional culture? And what should an individual be like or can be like when they're healing in their journey within that traditional setup instead of just walking away and creating a modern setup?
So, first of all, no one can live alone. We're not designed like that. We are designed
Social
to live in
animals.
tribes. Okay. Earlier, you've heard this that it takes a village to raise a child. Okay. And now that we don't have that village, and now you have one mother who is trying to be the mother and the CEO and, a good homemaker and a good friend for the kiddie parties, and she's trying to be fit, it's killing her. Okay. So we believe today that me and my mobile phone are a joint family. Okay. But if we really put those gadgets down and the gadget is purely a distraction, you will find love. But of course, with love in your family, there is also going to be some drama. There's also going to be demands. There's also going to be expectations. Now, we want the good stuff, but we don't want the baggage. Okay, but there is a lot that we have to learn from that baggage. You can't say that you want the joy of a baby, but you never want the baby to cry in the night. You can't say that, you want a great body, but you don't want to ever go to the gym. You want to make great money, but you never want to wake up and be disciplined and go to work. It doesn't work like that. So, family will come with this baggage. And instead of baggage, we need to start looking at it like gifts. We focus so much on generational trauma and we forget also looking at the other side, which is the generational wisdom, which is the generational gifts. People connect a lot to my content somehow. It's not like it's the most intellectual things that I have ever said. In fact, I strongly believe that I'm only a postman. I'm a messenger of things that I have heard and learned from other people. If I can remember the sources, I always quote them. But my father, he taught me everything through stories. There were stories from the Ramayana, from the Mahabharata, from Krishna, from the Bible, from the Quran, from Guru Granth Sahib as well, whatever. Because he loved the mythology, so he would study it all through. I was inspired by those stories. And that's all I do. I actually just pass on stories. Am I the source of the stories? No. Is the wisdom mine? No, it isn't. How can I forget to acknowledge my ancestors? Because I received this from them. But we sit in ego bubbles and we think, oh, it's just me, it's all me. No, it's not all you. It is not all you. One day when you're angry and you're not aware, you will realize that you sounded just like your mother that you hated. One day when you're just lying down and watching your plate and you'll realize, shit, I've started eating like my grandfather and he used to eat just like this. Right? We are never far away. It's like the apple doesn't fall far away from the tree. You cannot abandon the tree and think that you are going to grow. You need the tree. You need to be connected to your roots.
So, Kavyal, you mentioned so much of your wisdom and knowledge comes from the ancestors, from your father who had a keen interest in mythology and learned about various spiritual schools and philosophies. Any one particular school of thought or philosophy that you really connect with, where you feel that, okay, this is the predominant guiding philosophy of my life that helps me sort of impart nuggets of wisdom to people, of course, in addition to whatever else you've acquired from your ancestors?
I think very gratefully so. I think my mother, when she lost both her parents when she was 10, my mother, because of the severe trauma that she had, where she lost both her parents when she was 10 and the youngest sibling was 2, she had lost all faith in God. She was angry with God for the longest time. She believed that if there was any energy like God, he would never do this to me. He wouldn't orphan 5 children. She somehow manifested marrying my father, who, on the other hand, is a huge Krishna believer, or, he believes in the support of the universe. And fortunately, I come from his wisdom where he didn't turn me religious, he turned me spiritual. And he also taught me this, that, if some Muslim is coming to you, you refer to the same energy as Allah. If a Catholic is coming to you, it's the same energy that becomes Jesus Christ. Okay? So you don't differentiate in your head. It's not like our Krishna is better than Allah or Jesus or Guru Granth Sahib. You respect everybody, follow the stories that you like. And if you are patient enough to read all of these books that we have, don't follow blindly the stories that they tell you. Always look at how are they describing the deities. Was there magnanimity in Jesus Christ that he said, I will pay for your sins. So it's okay. You guys, I'm taking this for you. When we're talking about, the Sikhs and their traditions, he said that if you look at stories of Guru Nanak Ji, he was most benevolent. He was this child at the farm who was supposed to sit there and make sure that the birds are not eating the grass or, the produce. And he would be more than happy and he'd be like, cow, it's all yours. So look at the characteristic of the deity that you're talking about and imbibe those characteristics into yourself. Imbibe the generosity, imbibe the forgiveness, imbibe the strength. We very often go to temples and we ask God that taklif mat dena, let it all be easy, let it all be smooth. I went to Nasik recently, and in Nasik, there is this place called Sita Gufa. It's a very tiny little place, okay? You must go there if you ever get a chance. And Sita Gufa was a place where Sita ji and Ram had to hide to not be attacked. That little cave, that little tunnel was so claustrophobic that when I was going in there, I was like, am I going to come out alive out of this? Should I even go there? And mind you, it is far more polished now than it would have been at that time. And it struck me, we are asking gods to never give us trouble. Imagine the same gods having gone through so much trouble that they had to hide in tunnels. So is it fair to ask them to make our life easy? We go there to all of these spiritual places and say, give us the strength that you had. Because the suffering is going to come this way or that way. Okay, if you suffered, we got to learn and we got to grow from that. Instead of saying, no, make it convenient, make it easy, make it quick, give this to me yesterday instead of me working for it. That is what Dad taught me. That it's not about the Hindu gods or the Muslim gods or the Catholic gods. It's not religion. Each person that is there with you is one. One principle that I always carry with myself that keeps me aware is that God could come to me right now in any form. Any form. It could be the fly that is, constantly coming around us. It could be you. It could be a beggar that I could meet on the street. And it could be a test. Am I my most gracious, compassionate, respectful self? Because I don't want to fail the test. Just remembering that keeps me in grace and gratitude. And if all of us just remember that your gurus, your gods, or whoever you think is the highest power could come to you like a layman. Are you your best with them? That's all we have to do.
How beautiful.
How beautiful.
Picking up one point from what you said about problems always continuing, it's about you gaining the strength. There was a time in my life when I was practicing the Nichiren Buddhism
Yes.
philosophy. And I remember, I don't practice it anymore on a daily basis, but I remember reading a couple of lines from there where it said that, the speed breakers on the road will always be there. You've got to be like the car and develop those shock absorbers so that
Absolutely.
you don't feel the bumps, because just following a god or a philosophy and being absolutely devout does not mean that your life will be devoid of problems. The problems will always continue to come. It's about you developing that real core inner strength, which I think both of
Absolutely.
you as psychologists really give that gyan to your clients.
Again, your speed breaker example is so beautiful. This is also something that we need to remember, that the world is not meant or designed only for us. The speed breakers are important for the children who are crossing the road while you're driving. They are important for the animals that are there. They are important for the elderly that are there, right? So if you can just become aware enough that what is designed for somebody else could seem like an inconvenience to me, it is teaching us a certain etiquette to be in the world. Everybody is flying nowadays. You have the window seat and you have the center seat and you have the aisle, right? Now you see how uncomfortable the person in the middle feels, right? But if only the person sitting by the window seat could keep his elbows to himself. and the person sitting by the aisle could give you some leg room, you would be more comfortable. Only then can we all travel together. Otherwise, it's not possible. Otherwise, there's chaos. So, everything that is inconvenient to you is important to somebody else, and the world belongs to all of us.
Kavyal, nowadays, I'm sure with you also, when people come to you, they're either trying to fix their partner or maybe fix themselves. How can you help them understand it's not about fixing, but about sharing a healing space?
People come to me very often, yes, trying to fix their partner more than trying to fix themselves. If they don't have a partner, they want me to validate that it is the other people outside that are to blame, that are not choosing them. Okay. Blaming is the simplest thing on the planet. Blaming doesn't need you to take any responsibility. Blaming doesn't need you to change anything. But we also have to see that I can only change something if I first accept it as my own. I can't change something that doesn't belong to me. If the room is too cold for me, and if I don't have the remote control of the air conditioner, can I change it? I can't. I have to have the remote control with me first and say, yes, this is mine. Now I can do something with it. But the minute you see something is wrong with this particular partner, you want to either distance them or you want to say, that's not my problem. This is not my issue. Take care of it and come back to me. No, you also have to see that there is an issue with you as well. This same partner that you're complaining about could be very different with his friends, could be very different with his parents. How come it is only you that he behaves like this? How come? Because there's something about you that triggers something about him. If you stop being the way that you are, he will have to change the person that he is. Because we don't change as people, we change in response to change. If I am nagging, my husband will not want to sit with me. How much ever I say, oh, you don't sit with me, you must sit with me. Look at other husbands, look at people on Instagram, look at this Instagram reel quote, everybody, husband, wife should sit together. Nothing's going to happen. He's going to get even more fed up and he's going to find cleverer excuses to not show up at home. Okay. But if he sees like a month, 2 months, 3 months that, okay, Kavyal doesn't nag anymore. She's happy, she's humming. Oh, she seems like she's in a good mood. Let me just go and be there for a bit. And when you keep that change consistent, suddenly this husband of mine will say, can I hold your hand? We change in response to change. Nobody changes in isolation.
So, Kavyal, how do you think parents can really nurture emotional intelligence in kids without muting their own advice? I'm sure you would be dealing with so many parents who come with conflicts with their children. And at many times, parents think that they're right, and you also might feel they're right, but you want the kids to be heard. And yet, parents don't want to give up on their thought process as well and come across as weak, that they've just given into the demands of their kids. So how do you handle this sort of a dynamic?
That is a bigger problem now, that I see a lot of parents just giving into the demands of the children. And we're getting newer and newer generations with newer and newer names of the alpha and the beta and the gamma and the, generations that we are going to fail miserably at understanding, because they have everything at their disposal. They have to work for nothing. What the biggest mistake that is happening now is our generation, us as parents, we struggled somewhere. Life was not easy for us. We had to compromise. We had to negotiate, find our way through. We were scared of our parents as well, right? So we decided, when we get this beautiful bundle of joy, and the first day we look into the baby's eyes and we say, I'm going to give you everything I never had. You're going to have the best life possible. You fucked the child at that point, because you have now given everything that you had to work for. But you became who you are because you worked for something.
Yeah.
Okay? You've got a certain muscle because you worked for it. There was a spiritual gym happening. There was a mental gym happening. There was a physical gym happening. There was a work gym happening, a financial struggle gym happening. You found yourself. These children, all they have to do is spell it. Sometimes a hyper attentive mother or a hyper attentive father, the child doesn't even have to spell it. The child could just be looking at Hamleys and a range of expensive things and looks at something and says, and they've got it. They've got it. Now you are raising an entitled generation who has not had to wait for anything, who has not had to work for anything. And then you get frustrated with them when they are 14 and 15 saying, I don't see you working hard. We've given you everything. We've slogged our asses off. What are you doing? Just on your headphones, on your computer, on your laptop. You want to go to holiday to Japan. You want to do this. You have the most expensive shoes. Why aren't you working? Excuse me. You gave this child everything for 15 years. This child doesn't know what it means to work for it. They don't know it. For them, it's like that Instagram joke, that there are carrots in front of you. Snap your finger and it becomes gajar ka halwa. That is what life is for them. That I want a business, dad is going to set it up. I want a home, mom's going to set it up. This is that generation. So instead of blaming the children, we got to start looking at, would we be all right if we said no sometimes? If we trained them for patience, for waiting, for resilience? Would it be okay if my child didn't always love me? We never want to risk it. We always want to be the best mother, the best father my child can have. Have you heard that? That if your child always, always, always loved you and has never been angry or mad at you, you're doing something wrong.
Why is there this need to always be loved or liked? And, what is that which is coming in our generation that, we need that validation from our child? That's why we are going a little, we're bending backwards.
No, we actually need that validation from anybody and everybody. It's just that the child is the easiest prey. They can be bought the fastest. It wasn't so easy for our parents to come and tell us that, oh, shabash, I'm so proud of you. It's not so easy for your husband and your in-laws to say that. It's not so easy for your friends to say that. Nobody's going to unconditionally love you all the time. The child you can buy.
So do parents think, but I'm thinking going forward, that's not going to be easy either.
It's not. It's not. Because if you are constantly available to somebody, they're going to take you for granted. It's like the sofa in your house. How many times do you open the front door and look at the sofa and say, I'm so grateful for having you? It's just there. It's the day that the sofa is not there that you be like, what the hell, where am I supposed to sit? I didn't know the sofa was so important. You will become pieces of furniture if you are just there, always there, all the time.
Too much availability is never good.
Never good.
Kavyal, how should parents really react and deal with their child when they come out to them in whichever gender preference or whatever their identity issues are?
It's a very prevalent problem now. But as parents, you have to understand that these are children who have too much exposure too early. Okay, so not everybody that is coming out to you and saying that, hey, I'm gay, I'm lesbian, or I'm bisexual is. Okay, but this is a phase where they are experimenting. Where if there is a girl who has been feeling betrayed by her best friend, who was possibly a boy, she will now at the age of 14 or 15 say, I don't think I like boys. I think I like girls. Because that's what you're seeing. Have you seen every film, every series, because of inclusivity, will now always have an angle where there are two women together or there are two men together? It's the feeding. Okay? Even if I don't like sushi, but if somebody on my table is eating sushi every single day, I'm going to be tempted. And then one day to fit in, I will say, I love sushi. Actually, my reality could be I want to go back home and eat ramen noodles or khichdi. So sometimes this I am gay, lesbian, bisexual, or XYZ for this generation is a matter of experimentation and fitting in. It may not be for everybody, there are always exceptions. So if this is not you, please don't take offense. Okay? But parents need to know this, that do not fly off your handle. The only thing you have to say is, okay, I understand at this point of time, either you may be confused or you may be experimenting. We will put a call on this after you turn 24, because that's when your complete brain development has happened. A lot of choices that we make by the time we are 15, 16, 17, when the prefrontal cortex is not working at its best, post 24, you feel like, no, I don't like that anymore. No, that wasn't meant for me anymore. I wasn't meant for that anymore. I thought I was a rebel, but I'm actually just a family person. So let them take the final decision of which position they choose to sit in after they're 24. Till then, if you give a very strong opinion, that's not okay. How could you? I'm telling you, your child is going to love that. And they're going to want that even more. Because at this point of time, rebelling with you gives them power. Stay neutral. I know that you will be worried, but they will change their minds. And if somebody truly is gay, lesbian, bisexual, or whatever their choices are, then we can only honor and accept it. Then we can only try and focus on, all right, this is the reality of this child. It's like one child is fair, one child is wheatish, one child is dark. This is the reality of my child. What colors suit my fair child? What colors suit my dark child? Okay. So we only have to focus on, how do I make the world around my child a safer place for my child? What are the belief systems and the values that I can give to my child with his or her existing reality that don't break their spirit down? That's all we can do.
I think that's what they need.
Yeah.
They need love, they need support and the
Absolutely.
acceptance.
Absolutely. And these children, they have also come into this realm now at this point of time to teach us a spiritual lesson of acceptance, of surrender. Earlier, it was the mythological stories. It was the joint families that taught us. But the joint families are out, the stories are out, and the modern culture is in. So, what fits in with the modern culture? Our children who don't fit the mold. And we are now learning acceptance and surrender through our own children.
And if we really see, even the children really have to do a lot of acceptance, because nowadays the parents themselves, there are enough separations happening, and they're seeing a lot in their life than we ever did. Can we delve into how should the parents be when they are going through a phase of separation?
First of all, I think that this new generation, if you meet a girl of 30, a boy of 35, they will say they don't want to get married. They want to be on their own. They want to explore a live-in relationship, and it's pretty much accepted. One thing I have to thank this generation for is that they are breaking the dysfunctional patterns of unhappy and suppressed marriages that they have seen in their families. They are all path breakers, and they are very brave for that. Okay. One angle of looking at it is, oh, they're just frivolous and, oh, come on, they just don't want to take, responsibility, and they're just commitment phobic. Yes, that too. But what has made them commitment phobic? What has given them that fear? Watching relationships in your parents, grandparents, great grandparents that didn't work. And now they're saying, hey, listen, I'm not buying that anymore. So if I am that generation who is deprived of marriages and I choose differently, so be it. But my children will not see what I saw. I will not suppress what you suppressed. So they are making bolder choices. Again, we can only be in acceptance and gratitude for their choices. And their choices are not easy. They're not easy. Just because we struggled and suffered, that doesn't mean that our choices were the right ones and their choices are the wrong ones because it works for them. There is no right and wrong. It is what it is.
They're just relevant choices at relevant time
Yes.
and age.
Absolutely.
There's nothing we can do. True. And again, like you said, acceptance is the only way to move forward. Accept that they needed to be together for whatever their truths were. And we now have to accept that they need to see it and do it.
You know, our parents and grandparents, they were controlling generations, okay? We had to do as they said. This generation is making us feel out of control. That's also a pattern that they're breaking, that, you can't control the next generations anymore. You got to let them be. That in itself is healing the world.
So, Kavil, we've spoken about people coming out of identity crisis and how parents need to deal with it. We've spoken about the child parent conflict. We've spoken about marriages falling apart. We would love to understand from you, what are some of the other challenges that people are really battling in today's time that not so many people out there may be aware of, but you, as a psychotherapist, as a hypnotherapist, may be having a glimpse of the issues that could further snowball into common or prevalent issues in the coming times?
It's the anxiety. It's the anxiety because they do not see their life as perfect. And they want somehow, anyhow, a very filtered life that looks great on Instagram. Or it should look greater than what their neighbors have. Or it's always aspiring, competing with somebody or something that is far beyond your league. If you're going to always sit in the future, you're always going to be anxious. If you're always going to sit in the past, you're always going to be depressed. People don't know how it is to be in the present today. Being in the present is literally a superpower now. Just to be in the present is a superpower, right? Now, if one thing could be fit in people's heads, that you are never alone. You don't have to do life alone. It's okay for you to ask for help. It's okay for you to be vulnerable. You know, Dr. Gabor Mate said this, and it was so beautiful, that we have to have the courage to be vulnerable.
So true.
Okay? And he explains it in a way that you see that when a plant is growing from a little seed, the stem is so tender. That's why that tender stem can grow into a big, large tree. But when the big, large tree, the bark is already so hard and so strong, it's not growing anymore. We are scared to be vulnerable. We want these guards around us the whole time. We want to seem as, I've got everything under control. No, everything is going, it's all just fine. If a person has no businesses to do, they will say, I have multiple businesses. If a person has the worst relationships, they'll be like, I've got the best relationships and multiple photographs. You're my sweetheart, you're my darling, I can't live without you. The more PDA on Instagram, the more I know the relationship is in deep shit. People who truly love each other will not need to flaunt each other on Instagram. Then they keep it private. So you are literally faking a life that doesn't exist to please somebody who doesn't even care about you. That has to stop.
So you think social media is not just jeopardizing the existence of the youth or the children as we speak today, but it's jeopardizing the existence of everybody around
It
us?
has already jeopardized every single person it has touched. It already has. People have become more and more isolated, more and more lonely. And it's an addiction which is hard to let go of. I promise myself that I'm not going to be on social media at all, but my work is on social media. Right now, what we are going to speak is going to go on social media. But then the only discipline I have is I follow some 60 people on Instagram. And that is again my family, my friends, or teachers who I listen to. But I'm never scrolling through where they've gone, what they've done. It's only the puppy and the baby videos that I need to sleep in the night. And it's only education that is coming to me. Now, we can't run away from social media. We will just have to focus on the wiser choices. Who do I want to listen to? You've heard that you become a sum total of the 5 people who surround you, right? Choose wisely. That's all. There's a whole buffet out there of people of different opinions. Some of them could propagate hate, insensitivity, materialism, independence, toxicity. There will be very few who will propagate peace, calm, joy, and those people don't get the views because they're very simple. There's no skin show there. There's no aggression there. there's no abuses there. It's not masala. But you have to choose wisely that if I want to use social media for my growth, I will choose who I listen to very carefully. Use it for your advantage. You can't run away from it. You're already a fish and you're already in the ocean.
It's a tool. It just depends what you want, the context which you use that tool
Yes.
for, which
Yes.
is so important. Kavyal, one more. During hurt, because we were discussing hurt and betrayal, especially when it comes to people nowadays, there's so many, whether it's social media or meeting more people now, there is a prevalence of stepping outside your marriage. Some I actually can understand, and some are just there for the experience of it. Can you shed some light on stepping out?
Or because it's trending.
Or because it's trending?
Well, I am pretty much known as a person on Instagram that apparently advocates extramarital affairs. I always say that that's not the truth. People don't want to listen to the whole thing. They want to pick up a 30-second clip that somebody edited that sounded like I was propagating it. I wasn't. I'm always in a certain sensitivity of why things happen. But that doesn't mean that you keep going that way. Sure, it happened, but you have to fix it. Escaping into an extramarital affair is just running away temporarily from the huge, big dysfunction that you have in your own marriage. You're too lazy to work on it. So you want an easy route somewhere else, believing that affair is going to fix everything. That's a distraction. Sure, it'll bring you calm and joy and excitement and all of that for a while. Eventually, in 4 years' time, 5 years' time, that relationship will become a replica of your marriage. So now you don't have one wound to clear, you have two. You can't run away from the problem. The problem will run after you. But having said that, there are people who are in extremely toxic marriages, extremely selfish marriages that don't give them anything. Please find the courage to leave those marriages. Sometimes it's easier said than done because children are involved, financial security is involved, the health of old parents is involved, your reputation in society is involved. That is why people can't find the courage. I mean, who am I to go and live that life for them, right? I can only tell them in 4 sessions that I told you you should leave. But then the helplessness of the other person saying, but how? How? So do I not give myself the joy of that one company that, I'm stressed out here the whole day. I go out there, have a cup of coffee, and he tells me something nice about me. Do I not deserve that? You see, it's complex. So every time there's an affair situation, you don't just see it as black or white. There are layers and layers and layers and layers. And with huge gentleness and sensitivity and empathy, you got to unravel each layer till this person can find their way back home to themselves. Otherwise, they'll just keep looking for a home everywhere else.
Kavyal, I always say that it's not the action, it is the context in which the action has taken place. Go to the context and then start digging. And what you said even before this was so beautifully, have the courage to be vulnerable and have those conversations with whoever you want to, if you really, otherwise 5 years down the line, as you said.
Repeat, cycle repeats.
Back to square one. It's not that you've changed anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kavyal, the previous generation has always idolized elders, but today's generation really questions. They question the unconditional respect at the cost of righteousness. So my question to you is, how would you advise youngsters today on this aspect of unconditionally respecting their elders? So that's part A of my question. Part B of my question is, if youngsters don't really get along with the elders and they decide to dissociate from the so-called family, is it all right according to you, or they must give it a second try?
Like we established, we've come from generations where respect was supposed to be given to anybody who was older than you, to anybody who came before you. Sure, our elders deserve the respect. But again, it's this generation is breaking the toxic patterns that you deserve respect just because you're older than me. They are teaching us that respect needs to be earned. That if I am submitting myself to you, or if I am listening to you, earn it. Show me that you are thinking for me instead of thinking for yourself. How many of us have been in the same boat where we became doctors because our parents wanted us to become doctors? We became CAs because our parents expected us to become CAs. And then the minute we gave them the degree and then we said, okay, we don't want to do this anymore. Okay. So this generation is breaking those toxic patterns that earn it. I'm not just going to give it to you because you chose to be born before me, which is in a way very, very powerful.
Very
because
powerful.
we are not going to be the same people in 10 years' time. The fabric of our thinking, our mindsets is changing. We are forced to become easy. We are forced to become accepting. Okay? Because this generation won't listen to us. They are stronger and more formidable than anyone we've ever seen. At the same time, they are more fragile than any generation that we've ever seen. So we are forced to be on our tiptoes. We can't afford to make mistakes. That's why you and me, as a generation, have to be hyper aware of our words, of our choices, of our actions. And maybe that's how we will change the world ahead of us. Maybe that's how we will make the world an easier place for the next generations to come. Should we live in a joint family or should we live separately? When you have all the money in the world and you have all the fame in the world and you have everything that you always wanted, but you have nobody to share it with, nothing will matter. It is at that day that you will feel like, I miss family. I wish I had somebody. No one likes to die alone. That is people's biggest fear, that I will die alone. What if I am always alone? Your family is your greatest, greatest wealth. And if you make your family environment a happy one, an inviting one, a safe one, no one wants to live separately. Your child may want to go away to university to taste 2 months of freedom, but they will call you back and say, Papa, can I please come back home for the summer? They need you from time to time. You are their cushion. But you have to remember that your job as a spiritual parent is to be the walls and the ground below their feet. No one's asking you to set the sofa, set the bed, do this, do that, and make it ultra comfortable. No. But you are the wall behind them. They can always, lean back on you. You are the floor on which they can walk on. You're the sturdy ground. That's our job. To live with or without family, I'd be crazy to say live without your family. Your family is everything. It's gold.
Is that why, because everybody's getting more and more alone, is where the substance abuse comes in?
Yes. Yes, because then I don't like my loneliness. I don't like my reality. And I will take the substance to run away from my existing reality. Because being alone ultimately makes me feel like a super failure.
That's the only thing which calms you down. Love calms one down.
Absolutely. Haven't you heard that sugar is a substitute for love? Carbs are a substitute for a person when they are craving the father's protection. They go towards the carbs because they want the masculine protection that says that, hey, you're okay, don't worry about it.
Moving to the fun stuff now.
Yeah, please.
Okay, audience, we come to my favorite section now, which is behind the closed doors, where we ask our guests some fun questions about other people's situations, life, a whole bunch of different things that really bring out the fun stuff about them, their secrets, the way they think, their idiosyncrasies, etc. So let's now dive into asking some fun questions to Kavyal.
What's your most irrational pet peeve?
Irrational pet peeve. Now, a pet peeve would be something that I don't like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it would be rational for you, but may not be rational.
Yeah,
in
so I'm
general
just,
for the
I'm,
people
yeah, I'm
around.
ju- actually just trying to, that irrational word has bumped me actually.
What is your pet peeve?
I can't stand insensitivity outside in the world. I mean, insensitivity of all sorts will piss me off. I
No, I
hate it.
Okay. A public figure you would love to do an inner child session with.
Princess Diana.
Oh,
Too many inner
wow.
children there.
Damn, that's a great one.
Yeah.
What's one spiritual cliche you secretly roll your eyes on?
That it's all just your karmas. You only have to accept it. Yes, it is our karmas, but you're not supposed to get stuck in that esoteric world. You're supposed to take the tools, come back, and fix the damn thing here. You're living on, you're a human being, right? You can't just live in the spirit world and say, I'm meditating, but I don't need to work on my marriage. Rubbish.
Oh my God, that really happens.
It happens all the
I'm
time.
either I'm so
People
chanting or
look
whatever, but
for
then-
my biggest problem is, and I'm whacking people about this the whole time. My biggest problem is that people look for spiritual answers and spiritual remedies to physical problems that they need to fix. I can't chant and say, I've become thinner every day, I've become thinner every day, I've become
And not
thinner
do
every day,
anything
and
about it.
sit and watch Netflix and eat a bloody laddu. It doesn't work.
Okay. A tarot card that best describes 2025 so far and the half of the year that's
2025, the tarot card, the tower.
Ah.
The constant destruction, the constant, the terrorism, the air crashes. It's number 9, the year of Mangal, the year of bloodshed and accidents and, traumatic events. It's a very hard year.
How is the other part of the year going to be?
The same. But 2026, the year of the sun, very healing, very beautiful. So we still have a lot of lessons to learn. We've got 5 months more to 2025, and let's just all do our Namyoho Rengekyohos and be at peace and,
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya and whatever is working for everybody. And learn our lessons that life is short and people around you are precious because people are being taken away like this.
So fast, yeah, Kavyal. What is the difference nowadays? Because there's a lot of conversation. How does Nazar and destiny really correlate? क्योंकि सारे ओहो ना दिखाओ नजर लगेगी, but it's also your destiny की ऐसी भी क्या ही नजर लगेगी.
Nazar is basically an intention. Okay? Nazar is the opposite of a blessing. That I look at you and I feel like, I hope that you do really well. That's a blessing and intention that I'm passing on to you. Now I look at you and I say, I hope you really don't do well. That's Nazar. Intention is a very real thing. But again, like karma coach Tamanna says that your karma is not just what you do. It's your actions, your reactions, and your intentions. So if you're putting nazar somewhere out there, which is negative for someone, it's going to come back to you. It's going to find its way back home to you. So be conscious of what's the intention you're putting out. आपकी जो destiny में है, वो आपको होना है. But अगर किसी की नजर लग रही है, तो वो process थोड़ा delay हो जाता है. Small hurdles come in between.
So if heartbreak had a color, texture, and smell, what would it be?
It would be like rotting blood and black and gooey and red and all of that in between, with a very, very sad Arijit Singh song playing in the background. Heartbreak is a very real thing. It's like, you've created a whole world keeping one person in this bubble, the center focus of your life, and you've created a whole world around them. And now somebody has just pierced that bubble. And now you don't know what to do with your life anymore. So but also on the positive side, everybody has to know that each person is destined for a minimum of 3 heartbreaks in their lifetime. So if this is your first one, gear up, the 2 more to come. But pain makes us feel intensely alive. Pain makes us feel intensely alive. So even if somebody has gone 6 months after a heartbreak, they will somehow, on a day when they are bored, they will play old songs which are like tear jerkers, and they will still go back and say, how could she do this to me? And they will, what do we say, induce that pain to just feel something because they're so numb otherwise.
Kavyal, for me, love feels intensely alive. I mean, if you
But most people are not vibrating on the frequency of love. They're not. They're vibrating on the frequency of fear. Yeah, they vibrate. I mean, there are all the emotions. The positive ones come from love and the negative ones come from fear. And the positive emotions of love and all of that are high vibration emotions. People don't sit there. That's a lot of hard work. I can't feel love all the time, right? So I can't feel love when my employee hasn't come on time. I can't feel love when my husband isn't paying attention to me, when my children are not listening to me. But sitting in anger, aggression, envy, jealousy, fear, anxiety, very simple. You have hazard reasons around you to sit in that space. So for somebody to come from fear and anger to love, that's a leap. That's when you know that you've grown really.
2 questions. One, if healing were a cocktail, which one would it be? And what would be the
Nariyal pani. It would be nariyal pani. It
with a
would
little
be
bit of tequila.
so amazing. If you are healed, you are on a high. You do not need any hard mixes with it. Then you just want water.
Right. Last question, Kavyal, to you. What does unconditional love and kindness mean to you?
When I can see every person, every animal, every tree, every bird, every worm in front of me, in the same way that I want to see myself. When I can,
Deep and beautiful, that is.
when
I'm having
I,
goosebumps. Just
very often when I see a tree being cut, I literally feel a personal ache in my stomach. If I see a van full of chickens being taken somewhere, it'll spoil my day. Especially, this happens with me, especially during the whole Eid season, and I see the goats out there. I'm having a terrible month because I can feel their pain. Can I protect them from it? No. But I'm sensitive enough to feel it. And when I can treat anybody else in pain the same way that I would want to be treated, without them giving me a certificate or a receipt in return, that is your unconditional love. Which means I have recognized my purpose, and my purpose is to make this planet a slightly better place than what I walked into. And I can do that just with my presence. Sometimes just eye contact is enough. Sometimes just holding somebody's hand is enough. Sometimes just silence and saying that, yeah, it sucks, but it's okay. I'm here for half an hour. Sometimes just that is enough. Not everybody needs to be a therapist. Not everybody needs to have tons of money to give somebody expensive gifts. In fact, those things don't even work. It is your presence that has the magic.
life condition.
So if you can give the gift of your presence to another without expecting something in return, that is unconditional love.
How beautiful.
I don't want to get up. I wish I could just kidnap her. All the kindness will go. Because I've done that. How beautiful. Thank you so much, Kavyal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for
so
your
much.
time. I love what you impart, how you impart. And I hope our audience watches it and listens to it again and again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
And for everyone who's watching, what I'm imparting is not very different from what your parents, your grandparents, from what your pets are imparting to you. It's just that you like me a little bit more. So if you focus on what I've said and you just reflect back, you'll be like, yeah, man, my mom said that. Yeah, my grandmother said that. We just take our own families and the voices in our families for granted, don't we? There's no rocket science. I'm not a very intelligent person. I'm only a messenger of what I have learned from the world around me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kavyal, for coming to our podcast. What a beautiful, humorous, soul-soothing conversation this was today. Today's episode was not just about emotional tools. It was about emotional truths. Thank you, Kavyal, so much for bringing voice and vision into this episode. This is truly special for me and Shubhani.
To everybody listening, take a moment. Just as Kavyal said, reflect on your own healing, your own patterns, and the love stories you tell yourself. Healing isn't linear, but it is possible, and it's often closer than you think.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel Kin and Kindness. Subscribe to us on Spotify. Like us on Instagram, Kin and Kindness _podcast. Be with us here next fortnight.